go. But that's the way love goes. The way love, the way love, the way love goes. The way love, the way love, the way love goes.
My name is Jeff, short for Jeffrey.
I'm Roxanne. Okay, so I was 16, Jeffrey was 18 when we met, so yeah, many moons ago. And we met through a mutual friend, so back in the day, I'm pretty sure we're not the only ones, but we used to prank call people. So one of my friends, she actually met Jeffrey and one of his friends, and she had his number and was like, okay, let's try him. So we called him and I was like, hi, it's Chantel. And we were speaking and he was like, I don't know. And I was like, yeah, we met in such and such place. And then he was like, okay, I'm busy right now, but give me your number. So we kind of left it at that. And then about 2 weeks later, Jeffrey called and then he was like, hi, Chantel. And I was like, huh? Shan who? And then I was like, oh, hi. And then we kind of started speaking from there. And then maybe about the second or third time that we spoke on the phone, I was like, I've got something to say. My name's not Chantel. And then, so we were speaking on the phone for about 2 months. And then we met up, and then the rest was history. We met, we started talking, like more face to face. We met up a few times. And then about a month after, we went on our first date, and then,
In regards to my number, I was thinking, how did your friend have my number? Because it was quite strange.
So what happened was, his friend liked my friend.
Yes, that was it.
And his friend didn't have a phone at the time. So his friend said, let me give you my friend's number. So if you want to speak to me, call me on this number. So that was how the numbers kind of got exchanged. And
I think this is how God works, to be fair, because I wasn't even in the mix. So from my point of view, it was, you're young, 17, 18, you're out and about. And the terminology there was like chirpsing. This is when, there was no Tinder or none of this matchmaking stuff. Instagram. So it was like, you really had to show your game. You had to approach young ladies and, show your game. But I wasn't even in the mix. And I was just thinking, how, why was I prank called? But I thank God. I thank God. Yeah. Funny enough, we actually lived less than 10 minutes away from each other.
Yeah. And
we had never crossed paths. So we met at a local store of ours, and I saw her for the first time. This time I was riding a bike, came off my bike, had my helmet on my head, and I was like, wow, like I wasn't actually expecting Roxanne to look the way she did. And it was mind-blowing because like she was just natural. As you can tell, 16-year-old, you're going back to like first crush kind of moment. 16-year-old, what she was wearing was amazing, authentic. I still remember it till now. Like blue jeans, nothing revealing. I was like, wow, like this is something different to what I'm used to seeing, or what I'm used to, the kind of girls I'm used to approaching on the streets. So I was like, no, there's something different here. And her smile took it away. So we walked through the shop, came out, and then I think before I left, she was like, oh, no hugs, no kiss. I was like, oh my. So this is taking it back, and this is a good, 16 years?
Yeah, 16 years ago.
A good 16 years ago. So just those moments there, key moments, and I'll take it further than that. Like Roxanne's got a huge heart. She's very forgiving. She's lovely. Like her beauty attracted me to her, but above all, she was caring.
What I like most about Jeffrey is how caring he is. And I saw that firsthand with his relationship with his mum, and also his younger sister. At the time, he was like I was 16, Jeffrey was 18, but he used to read to his sister, he used to pick her up, and I was like, she's definitely husband quality. I'm liking what I'm seeing. So yeah, and even with like our dynamics now, like as a married couple with the kids, and even like total strangers, like Jeffrey, he's the sort of person who would kind of give somebody money if they were asking, or he might come out of a shop and somebody's vulnerable and he might say, oh, do you know, let me go back in and get you something. And I'm like, it's the little stuff that isn't him directly doing it to me, but just kind of seeing how caring he is in the home, at work, in the community. It's nice. So yeah, I think that's what I like most about Jeffrey, how caring he is. When Jeffrey's in the kitchen, Jeffrey takes his time. And for me, it's like, we don't have that time. Like, you can't take time doing certain stuff, but he does stuff like it could take Jeffrey maybe about 10 minutes to cut onion, and he's slicing it very small and precise. And I'm like, I know you want to put your all into it, but we really don't have that time. And I think because I don't do stuff like that, it really grates me. But the appreciation is there. It's just how long he takes to do certain stuff.
Hold on, can I interject in that? I think as I'm going to speak for me and other men, I feel like when we do stuff, especially when I do things, I like to do it with passion, with love. So I'm not just going to cut onions anyway, anyhow. You understand? A different dynamic between us is the fact that I was raised in Nigeria. So I was born in Lagos until I was about 9, 10 and came to the UK. So it was like a cultural difference, and that shocked to me as well. So there's a lot of things that we were taught to do from Nigeria that I've brought on as well. And when I do things, I like to do them well. Another thing, when Roxsanne does certain stuff, you know, she claims, there's that claim was that women can multitask and do several different things at the same time. But how many of those things, in my knowledge, are done well? And that's why I think I take time when I'm doing stuff, because I'm doing it with love. Like, I'm doing it for my wife, I'm doing it for the kids. So I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna do it properly. Very methodical when it comes to my things. I think Roxsanne, you know you can be impatient as well.
I am.
So that's one thing. She's impatient and lateness. Roxanne's the type of lady that thinks that if we've got a schedule for say 10 o'clock, she thinks that, you know what, I can fit in washing up, I can fit in, she feels that she can fit in everything else and still have time to make it to 10 o'clock. And that's one thing, is like her time management. She believes what was the word you said earlier on? You're not bionic woman, or you are bionic woman, but she believes she can actually fit in everything. And I would just like you to prioritize the most important stuff.
Yes, sir. Noted.
To be fair, since we've been together, we haven't actually broken up. Like, in regards to being apart from one another. We have had obviously challenging moments in our life, and that's another key thing. I'm going to revert back to things that I like about Roxsanne is she doesn't give up. Yeah, so just saying that to you as well, like, you've never given up on me, because I have the tendency to shut off and then just quiet. I'm like in my own moment, and that comes from past traumas. And over the years, we've learned how to deal with our past traumas as well. And I feel like everyone, sorry if I'm going off subject, but I feel like everyone needs to, like, before you get into a marriage, know the baggages that you're bringing in yourself as an individual. So with me, I had a lot of baggages, and a lot of them stem from my parents. One of them, my father, because he was absent in my life since I was 2 years old. So I had that, if it wasn't working or I felt hurt, I took on that abandonment. So I would abandon whatever it was that was causing me any heartache. I was like, you know what, I'll just leave it and I'll go. But Roxsanne was that solid rock, that foundation of saying, no, like, let's work through this. Let's talk through this. Because obviously in my household, she knows, she will vouch for this, we don't talk. It's like, my mum got siblings, you know, the house can be on fire, but we know there's a fire. You know there's a fire? You know there's a fire? All right, we're not gonna say nothing about it. But with Roxsanne, what she brought into my life in terms of, she taught me these things. Communication's key. You know, there's times that we would butt heads, like we will both be the aggressors, and none of us actually, we're not listening or understanding each other, we're just butting heads. But yeah, there's been several challenging moments, but I feel like with me, I've learned to let go of my ego and my pride. And as soon as I dealt with the issues that I carried in, it made our relationship a lot better. it made me come out of my shell, communicate more. Yeah.
So about 2 years or so into our relationship, I found out that Jeffrey was unfaithful. And that was like a big blow, because it was like, how could you allow this to happen? And I didn't find out the weight of those infidelities until we were married. So it was like, I kind of found out about the tip of the iceberg prior to getting married. And then it was like, everything was revealed when we were then married. And it was like, this isn't kind of like a small pill to swallow. It took a lot of forgiveness. We did premarital counselling, and then we did marriage counselling when we were married, and then we did something called a marriage course during the lockdown. And it's taken a long time of me kind of being willing to kind of like fully forgive and kind of move on. So it's taken a lot of personal work for myself, and then a lot of personal work for Jeffrey as well. So I think that was kind of like the biggest thing that we've had to kind of overcome and deal with and kind of walk through together. It took a lot of forgiveness, a lot of patience, a lot of going back to addressing, and then it might be, okay, we've spoken about it, and then a week later, okay, but what about this? And how did that happen? And when did this happen? I wanted to know everything, all the details.
Every detail, yeah.
And I think for me, I wanted to know everything because, I don't know, at the time I thought it may make me feel better by knowing everything. But that personal forgiveness, it doesn't come from knowing the nitty-gritty. It's a personal decision that I had to kind of make myself.
Yeah, and based on that, you said something there that was quite touching, and it's something that obviously we've worked on and we've pondered on in regards to, before we was married, I think Roxsanne felt, the reason why she wanted to know every details was because she put the blame on herself. It's like, okay, what did I do? What didn't I do? And this is where I spoke about the problems and the baggages that we carry into a relationship. So prior to meeting Roxsanne, as a 17 going on 18-year-old, I wasn't looking for love.
For me, when I found out I was pregnant, it was like, wow, the joy of life. But actually, and mixed with that, it was the fear of, do you know what, this is another life. I'm still at uni. We weren't married at the time. There was family expectations. This wasn't kind of like the plan like now. So it was kind of like all of that coming all at once. And then, it was a lot of mixed emotions, but I thank God because he definitely walked with us during that pregnancy, because there were so many challenges that came. I mean, from like the very first trimester, the hospital was like, no, you're going to lose this pregnancy. And I remember the midwife just telling me on the phone saying, yeah, this is going to happen in a few days. So just kind of expect it to happen. And I was like, no, God forbid, like that won't happen. And then change hospital care. And then by the time he was born, he wasn't breathing, so he was in intensive care. So it's like every like hurdle that we've kind of gone through, especially with our firstborn, it's like God's constant reminder that he's got us, he's there with us.
Amongst our peers, we were the only couple like married at such a young age as well. And then we had, like Roxsanne mentioned, she was at uni, I dropped out of uni and just focused on full-time education. And then within that year, we got married, moved into a property together within a space of 9 months, I would say.
Yeah, moved twice.
Then we had our first son, who is now 12 years old. So the fact that he wasn't breathing at first, like the first few minutes, it's kind of like unexplainable. You can't, the emotion and the feeling around that. So we had all of that to deal with. And obviously there's a fear of like postnatal depression as well. And then all the pressure of uni, and I had the pressure of like, you know what, I now have to provide not only for myself, this is coming from my mum's house, but I've now got to provide for my family. You know, I have now taken this journey. And there's also been that external pressure of the fact that my dad left me when I was 2 years old and my younger sibling, and I'd never seen him again. So it was just like, I refuse to walk down that road. That chapter ends with my family in regards to, you know, fatherless home. You can imagine that challenge is that just had a baby, third year in university. I'm working a full-time job, trying to support childcare. Like every other day was just a clash. So, and you feel like these are the first 2 years or so are supposedly meant to be the honeymoon period. But I could say that was the toughest years of our lives. Of our marriage
Definitely.
life, like the toughest years, the most testing years, like you said, because it brought up old hurt in regards to the feeling of Roxsanne wanting closure regarding the infidelity when it came to 2 years into our relationship. So I thought, you know what, I thought this was something we dealt with, and it just triggers, these triggers keep coming. So I think communication is key. And one of the things that we've learned as well is not to take our issues to relatives or friends. So any challenges that we have is like, we learned the hard way, because when you involve each family and friends are always going to be biased, regardless. I believe they're always going to be biased. So we've learned to go to like an outsider, a professional, and seek right guidance and counselling, which has helped us throughout. Which helps sustain us. The best thing about being parents, I'll just say, I thought of this, is the fact that you're learning every single day. So we have 4 sons, so age ranging from 12, 7, 3, and a 1-year-old. And I can say that each childbirth and each son has taught me something new, and I still learn something new every single day with them, because I allow myself to learn from them and to be taught by them. Not only am I bringing them up, or we bringing them up and teaching them, but it's like, okay, what can I learn from this? Because like you've got a preteen, so he's going through moments, and I'm like, you know what, I remember when I was a preteen or a teenager. I kind of have a feeling of what's going on in your head, and then you're having communication, you're speaking to them. It's the type of relationship that I wanted from a father, but now I have, and I say that's one of the best things I would say for them. One of the hard things is bringing up boys in London, black boys, you know.
I think for me, the best thing about being a mum, especially to 4 kids, is the energy and the joy that they bring. Even coming here, we were asked 21 questions by the kids. Where are you going? But wait, who are you going there with? When are you coming back? What are you going to do there?
Are you going on a date?
Yeah. It's that joy that they bring, the hugs. I think just sharing like precious moments with them. I was asking our eldest son, like, what is the best moment you have with your dad? And he said, when he taught me how to ride my bike. And I was like turning around, like nearly wiping my eyes, because I was like, it's those things that you least expect them to say. Our second son, I think I asked him a question. Well, he asked the most inquisitive questions that just make you stop in your train of thought and think, wow, I actually need to think of an answer for that. So it's the precious moments and memories that we share, like with them, like the baby of the family, everyone anticipating when is he going to take his first step. So I think it's the moments that we share, those precious memories, that it just makes it all worth it. The most challenging thing about being a parent is how tiring it is, because it is a job that is 24/7. I think the other night, our youngest, he was drinking milk in the cot, and I heard him cough, and I jumped out of my sleep. So it's like, you can't even sleep fully as a parent. You are always thinking of them, praying for them, constantly thinking, okay, have we done this right? Have we tackled this right? Have we answered this? How are they feeling? Are they feeling secure? Are they feeling nurtured? So it's that constant on the job feeling of, you know, I'm a parent 24/7.
As much as it is for having children, reproduction, I feel like it's something that could actually bring us closer together as well. So it's very important. Short and simple, short and sweet.
I think it's important from an emotional connection level. I find that if we've not had sex for a while, you can kind of feel that physical distance. So I think sex is important for that physical connection. And it's like, sex was ordained by God. God has created sex for us to kind of enjoy one another. So I feel like the society who's put like a negative spin on sex, and there's that negative stigma of, oh, sex is this or sex is that. However, enjoyed in the way that God ordained sex to be enjoyed, sex is a beautiful thing. And I think for us in a marriage, it is important. And I think over time, I've had to kind of reprioritize sex. And I think initially it was like, do you know what, I can't even think of that right now. There's so many other stuff I can't think of it, and I'm even offended that you want to think of that right now. However, over time it's like, do you know what, that actually can wait. But yeah, we can spare a little time for that.
Love doesn't have to be a losing game. Every single day can have a better way. Changes come and go, but that's the way love goes.